Welcome to One Up Fantasy, helping you one up the fantasy football competition. For the latest in Chicago sports news, visit ChiCitySports.com. And now, here are the hosts of One Up Fantasy, Stephen Johnson and Chris Jackle. Kaboom!
The moment we have all been waiting for is finally here. It's time for some fantasy football playoffs. Welcome into One Up Fantasy here on ChiCitySports.com and the Tape Never Lies Network. I'm Stephen Johnson. He is Chris Jackle. Jackle, how we doing? We looking good on the playoff front? We looking ugly? Where are we at?
Playoffs? How we doing, Mr. Johnson? Oh, my goodness. I got to tell you, last night was bitter fucking sweet for me. I'm in this one dynasty league, the big money league for myself. And I was up 25.5 points going against James Conner last night. And so I took it on the shins and lost by 4.5. And so I was in fourth place. And the dude I tied, we ended up with the same record. And it's a guy I was playing, and he ended up beating me. I was up by 4 points going into the game on total points. I ended up losing by 2, knocking myself out of the playoffs. But I fucked myself because I swapped defenses, and I didn't trust the Cowboys D, and I went with somebody else, and there we are. I am out of the playoffs.
Did you have the Cowboys in there? Until kickoff, and then you made the last minute switch.
Sunday around 11:30, I spent some time, just contemplating my thoughts, and I talked myself out of it. And I started him in another league, ended up getting me the first place bye, and I had James Conner on my team in that league, and that's like a work league, whatever. This is like the dynasty. You put your blood, sweat, and tears in that fucker, and but nonetheless, hey, I'm still fighting in some leagues with playoffs, so I'm there. How about yourself, man?
Kind of more of the same with that. There were a couple heartbreakers. There were some close ones that came out on the other end. But again, when you're like me and you're in as many leagues as I am, you're going to get a full spectrum of outcomes. Unfortunately, I think the thing that crushes me the most this year, I've been playing in this home league with a bunch of my college buddies for the last 12 years now. This is the first year I have missed the playoffs, and it was on the heels of starting 5-2, having the most points scored, and I have lost every game since week 7.
Oh my God. The fantasy you're like the Matt Berry of the league, and you're fucking, way to go, guy.
They are celebrating. They are celebrating that this has happened. But it's been a long time coming. There's punishments in this league as well, which have me extremely worried if I continue this horrific losing streak into the playoffs, because there is a toilet bowl. Punishments do include a street corner. So we got signs on the street corner.
What are you doing on the street corner?
So you hold up signs of the league's choosing on a street corner.
Oh wow!
They can say
just
about anything.
Yeah.
There is a shotgun mile in there, so that's the dangerous one. There is a dice of death. More or less, the dice of death is you get to participate in. If it lands on the wrong number, participate in 3 other things throughout the day with other punishments. There's a unicorn onesie that's out there as well as a Malort. You got to wear it everywhere you go. And then there's also a Malort challenge as well. So
what in the world?
To those in the Chicago area, everybody knows Malort. I'm sure you've heard of Malort at one point or another. Just a god awful liquor. Bob asking, what's a shotgun mile? You have to go. So we go to a high school track.
Yep.
There is
every lap
4 laps.
You chug a beer to start.
A mile. Yep. So before you start, you got to chug a beer. Lap 1 done, chug a beer. Lap 2 done, chug a beer. Lap 3 done, chug a beer, and then finish it out.
The mile, you got to pound the beer, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So never had to do it. I'm afraid to do it. I don't.
Are you looking down the barrel
it.
now? I mean, are you like literally having to contemplate? Like, are you in this position?
I might be.
Oh fuck! In my league, with my high school buddies, you just get a shitty like toilet bowl trophy, and you gotta, whatever. But I think you have to engrave the championship trophy. I don't think I've ever had to do that, but that's the town league I bitched about last week that I fucking can't stand. So we don't need to go down that fucking road again. But
it's quite the league. I think the punishment thing just turned out of boredom because only the top 3 teams do not get punished. So there are light punishments.
What the fuck is wrong with you guys? You guys sadists over there? Jesus Christ!
It's a mess. But yeah, I mean,
I saw that, Ralphie.
They're singing the national anthem. There's taking control of the team name, so we make it embarrassing, disgusting things, and includes the avatar. One year we almost got threatened off of ESPN for being so crude. We do fun things in this league, but
not to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah, no,
you're a good representation of one-up fantasy, apparently.
Exactly. Hey, there's other platforms. We've been down that road. We got some questions off the top. Let's get to them here.
Joshy, what's happening, brother?
There's plenty to talk about. What would you do with Calvin Ridley and Antonio Brown? We'll start with the former first. I don't see Calvin Ridley coming back this year. I don't know about you, but he is a drop. The Falcons have this
anyway.
And that's the weird thing. They're only 2 games out of a playoff spot. It makes you wonder, like, how is this possible for as piss poor as we've seen them play this year, yet they're still hanging on and they're beating teams. They beat the Carolina Panthers, who a lot of people thought, okay, they got some competent quarterback play and signing Cam Newton. Cam Newton's done. He's out. He sucks.
There's a reason he got cut the first time from Carolina, and New England, and he'll whatever. It was a nice story, good clickbait for everybody. NFL was happy, but he's out of here. But anyway,
yeah, and I mean, if you have to pick somebody up this week, cut Calvin Ridley. He is your first option there. The other one, this is an interesting one that I think we need to keep an eye on overall, because looking at this, there is talk that Antonio Brown may be getting cut by the Buccaneers for falsifying his COVID records.
He would have done it already.
That's the thing that I'm thinking here too, is like, okay, it's been 2 weeks since this situation started. He's going to be eligible to come back, week 16, right? Yeah. And so you have Bruce Arians going on the Dan Patrick show today saying, regarding the decision, it could go either way right now. It really could. A decision will be made later this week. The decision will be driven by just continuing where those 2 guys are at, where the team is at. You know where it's going to continue at? It's going to continue with Tom Brady and whether or not he says to keep him. Because Tom Brady is the reason why Antonio Brown is even getting this shot. And I don't
saw Perriman catch a touchdown too. Like, it's like, oh, look at that. Fucking, hey, another player that leaves the Bears that fucking does something. But no, you're absolutely right. Brady brought him to New England and he fucked himself out of that position. But he served his suspension. Like, when he's back, he's back. I think he's too valuable to that team. And I think, but you're 100% right. Brady calls the shots there with respects to that receiving core, and they're fucking loaded. I mean, why wouldn't you want him back? I mean, what's done is done. He did a stupid thing, paid his penance. Let's move forward.
Well, and it's not only that. This is not a player that necessarily needs that week or two to get up to speed. Remember, this is a player that waltzed in halfway through the season last year and put up top 25 numbers at the position with very little warm-up in the middle of an NFL season. That goes to show you the talent that Antonio Brown has. And so if he ends up returning, if he doesn't get cut, he's going to play. Plain and simple. I would not cut him because he could easily be a guy where the floor is wide receiver 3. Yep. And in a lot of leagues, that's strong enough for a flex. We know the injury bug's been flying. The COVID bug this week is flying. We're going to get to that in a little bit as well. But yeah, in terms of Antonio Brown, until we get more news, there's no reason whatsoever that you should cut him from your roster.
Yeah, you're dead. You're 100% right. I mean, and plus when he was there, I mean, he was doing well. I mean, the first 6 weeks, he made 23 points, and then he had 2 points, and then he didn't play against the Rams, but then 13, 31, and 24 in a PPR league. So, I mean, and then he was hurt and then suspended. So, I mean, it's like you want him back. I mean, how do the Bucks not? And I mean, as fantasy owners, how do you not want him back? You know, so I mean, if you have him, hold him. I mean, if some dumbass drops him, if you can scoop him up, by all means, do that, right? I mean, Jesus, what are we doing here? And, you know, but speaking of COVID, though, you know, it's. I mean, where I'm out in Connecticut, our rates just doubled like today, like, and there's hot spots everywhere. So, you know, just circling back to the NFL, I mean, everybody is having an issue right now, including our beloved Chicago Bears, Fire Nagy. But, you know, do you want to talk about the fantasy implication right now? Or do you want to get into that and, you know,
absolutely.
talk about some of these guys?
Let's pivot to that and talk about this. The NFL as a whole is having a very serious COVID problem across the league, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg as well to this entire situation. Given
scary
where,
to think.
No, absolutely, very scary to think that it continues to kind of snowball here. That there's more than 70 players now on COVID lists across the league. The two teams to keep in mind here, you did mention that
most in the last week since December 6th, I think, Stephen, just want to interject, you know, that since like December 6th timeframe, the league has just been inundated, but over the last 2 days, it's just been like fucking fireworks.
Yeah,
you know?
Been absolutely wild. And the two teams that are really leading the charge, unfortunately, in that department are the Cleveland Browns, who added 5 players to the COVID reserve list today, including tight end Austin Hooper, wide receiver Jarvis Landry. David Njoku was put on the list last week. He should be back this week. And also two offensive linemen and Takaris McKinley, one of their defensive ends. The other team that's facing some serious COVID issues is the LA Rams. In the last 2 days, as we know that there were some last minute stoppages there with their roster. A few guys didn't get the opportunity to play, including Jalen Ramsey, including Tyler Higbee as well. They are up to, let's see if I can do quick math here, 9 players, 10 if you include Darrell Henderson on Saturday, added to the COVID list. That includes Odell Beckham, Bryson Hopkins, their backup tight end, Jalen Ramsey, who didn't play last night as well. And so here they are with a serious outbreak playing less than 24 hours ago. The question now becomes that, you know, I don't know where the concern now comes from the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were on the field with a lot of these players last night. They are going to potentially, you know, be exposed to an outbreak themselves. And this is a Cardinals team that hasn't necessarily been playing the best as
they need
of late.
All the guys they can get right now. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's definitely a serious issue from that end of things, and the fact that, like I said, this might only be the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we're going to see with contaminations and
it's the protocols. Once you get into the protocol, Stephen, it's, you know, depending whether you're vaccinated or not, you know, it's basically that's the impact, you know, and people can look at positivity rates and success rates and all those other things, and you can comment on that, and that's great. You know, opinions are like, you know, everybody has them, you know, some are like assholes and some stink and some don't, but, you know, I get it, you know, but at the same time, we're here about talking fantasy football. And to that point, fantasy is impacted by COVID because these guys, whether they're vaccinated or not, some guys are able to come back with two tests, I think in 24 consecutive hours or 24 hours or 48. Correct. I forget what it is. And then, but if you aren't vaccinated, it's 10 days, no matter what. So Njaku, right? He's out since December 7th. So clearly he should be back by December 17th based on what you look at. I'm doing the math, because typically,
if he is not vaccinated, I believe
that's what I'm saying.
window.
Yeah, so I might have left that out, but
but I mean, here's the thing, and you hit the nail on the head there. We can argue the rates at which people recover from this.
Yeah.
The NFL is going to take every protocol they possibly can. It's the same thing like the Chicago Bulls right now. If you're in the city of Chicago, you know that the Bulls have 10 players under protocol between contacts and everything. They are going to be as careful as humanly possible for this.
Of course.
I mean, that's all there is to it.
They have to protect their players.
Yeah, because all it's going to take is one freak occurrence. And I think a lot of people forget. I'm going to just bring this up quickly. We'll get back to the fantasy talk. There was a backup running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars last season. He's not with the team anymore, and he's going to space out on the name here. Man, this is going to bother the hell out of me. But
I'm trying to think. Man, it's not Carlos Hyde. I mean, who?
Man, this is gonna bother me now. I cannot remember his name. Shoot. And I'm not gonna be able to find it
up, but Raquel Armstead?
Yes. Raquel Armstead. I mean, just overall, just a really bad reaction, and he was out for weeks.
Yeah.
And we never really saw him again. He isn't in the league because he's dealt with so many issues from that. I mean, it's one player, but you never know who that one player is going to be. And I mean, for all we know, Kyler Murray could get it, and Kyler Murray's that player. He is that Raquel Armstead this year. We don't know that. I mean, that's just the nature of the situation. So anyway,
that's
with
a sensitive subject anyway,
Yeah, it is.
And we're dealing with our own TTNL issue,
right
at this time.
And people are, more than welcome to have their own opinions on it. But
let's keep this about fantasy football, and let's just, keep it moving, appreciate your commentary, but at the same time, let's just, let's stay on topic and on brand. How about that?
Sounds
it's
good.
Fucking playoffs time. I want to, God damn it. Like, Jesus. Are we going to get fucking strike anyway for talking about this shit?
Or maybe not a happy time for some people.
God damn you, Windy City. What the fuck? But here we are, but week 15 and playoffs are you definitely have to check your rosters. You have to be on your phone. Your wife's going to be pissed at you because you're going to be looking at your phone to see if guys are testing positive and there's outbreaks. The Rams' whole wide receiver room, I think, is now wiped out right now. So shit, Sonny Michel, I got him in my starting lineup. Do I have to panic and worry if he's a guy that's ends up on the list? So it's like it sucks because we're talking about fantasy football, but these are human beings. So God forbid, we do not want anything to happen. And this is all in context and perspective as we look at fantasy. We joke to some extent, but you do have to take that in mind at this point. That's the reality of fantasy 2021, right?
Right, exactly, and you touched on it there with just some of the close contacts with this, and again, the fact that there are names on these lists that we don't see yet, but they could easily be called close contacts. You mentioned the Rams, Odell Beckham being on that list. What does that mean for Cooper Kupp in the coming days? Is he going to continue to test negative? We saw it with the Chargers earlier this week. Keenan Allen. We didn't know if Mike Williams was going to play. We didn't know if Jalen Guyton was going to play. There's that concern where you're kind of worried and almost to an extent paranoid over just waiting for that news to drop that, there's the positive test. He might have tested negative the last couple of days. I mean, even just across these other positions, these other leagues, there's the opportunity here for some other
like the Cowboys are dealing, they have some players, you talked about the Lions, the Dolphins were dealing with the outbreak, the running back room, they're all coming back.
Yep. I mean, Cedric Wilson is the wide receiver here for the Cowboys. You think about that wide receiver room that is together, that's training a lot. That's CeeDee Lamb, that's Amari Cooper, that's Michael Gallup. Even if you want to get into the tight end situation, I mean, this is a wide-ranging issue.
Washington football team added 6 guys in the last 2 days, so that's another team to keep an eye on. It's an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, really from that standpoint, it's going to be around the clock, just a focus in terms of looking at your waiver wire. Don't worry if you miss out on guys on the waiver tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever it passes through, because it's going to come down to Thursday, to Friday, to Saturday, because there's going to be guys now that aren't necessarily labeled as being values that are going to rocket up free agent boards very, very quickly in a pivotal week as we move things along. So please, for the love of God, for this week, you need to keep an eye on everything. Absolutely everything, and almost to an extent alerts as well. We talked about different apps. Highly recommend Sleeper.
Yeah.
For news notifications, they are the fastest in the market.
Yep.
So if you need to get a jump start on the rest of your league in terms of adding people, being aware of who gets put on lists,
it's a great call.
Sleeper. Absolutely Sleeper. If you don't have it, great for news in that regard. Do we have more questions in there?
Yeah, we had a couple here.
Pop them up here. Let's talk.
Yeah, we had this one. This gentleman wants this. He's got second round playoffs, right? Number 1 seed, Eckler, Monty, Fournette, and Connor. Mark Andrews and Gronk. Jesus, fucking loaded, bro.
Okay, so start 2. So we have Eckler, Monty, Fournette. That is a loaded team. Holy hell. How
Edmonds
are you,
man? Edmonds is coming back in Arizona, right? So and he did get a little banged up.
Man, this is a banged up crew here. This is an absolutely banged up crew here. James Conner, we're still kind of waiting on what's happening with James Conner at the end of that game last night. Don't really know too much. I don't think there hasn't been a lot,
James
but
Conner.
I mean, he's laying on the ground. He doesn't look all that right. Austin Eckler, obviously, as we all know, he left the game last week. So he's up in the air. We got Saturday games this week as well, I believe. So that's even more fun.
You have Thursday Chiefs Chargers, Saturday you have Raiders Browns, and Patriots Colts, and then you have the fucking Monday night stinker Vikings Bears. But
hey, what can you do? Saints Buccaneers on Sunday night. I don't like Fournette in this game. I will say that the Saints have been very good against the run. I would not include Fournette in the potential starts, even though he has been fantastic this year. I don't know where are you at? I mean, Connor, if he's healthy against the Lions, that feels like a smash. Even though Edmonds might be back, maybe you kind of ease Connor in. I mean,
I think Connor's a touchdown machine, second in touchdowns, behind Jonathan Taylor, like you said. So, I mean, it's a matter of I like Connor. I think he's a guy. He broke my fucking heart last night, but at the same time, it's like if he's healthy, I'm playing him. I mean, he has a knack for the end zone this year. I mean, it's just you can't deny that. I like Fournette too. I just he's playing at the right time. It's Lenny ball. It's Lenny time. It's playoff Lenny. It's fucking ready to roll.
And no Lamar. Chargers going against the Chiefs. So Eckler going up against
Chiefs defense is playing well. They're one of the hottest defenses in the league right now. I think you're staying away from it. So Eckler's out. Montgomery could, but then again, it's the Bears. They'll give Monty 7 fucking carries all game for 67 yards. But it's fucking, But I think I might go Connor. I like Connor and Fournette, but I just have a hard time with running backs right now. I mean, Gronk and Brady.
Yeah,
Who do you like? Those are my two now.
I'm going to go Connor just because of that touchdown bug that he seems to have this year. I hate saying it because I every time I do, I end up going the opposite way. I'm like,
here we go.
I curse things. I'm going Montgomery.
It's not a bad play. In theory, you think he'd do well against Minnesota. You'd think he'd do well.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is that you look at what he's done the last couple weeks, and it hasn't been something that screamed like, here's a big fantasy producer, even though he has that. Again, we can argue all day about the fact that Matt Nagy and the offensive coaching staff do not give David Montgomery the ball enough. I mean, that's always going to be an argument. And then you have this game on Sunday night where he only gets the ball 10 times. I mean, they were up for the majority of at least a half, but how does he only get the ball 10 damn times?
You know exactly why.
I know.
We have a remedial fucking head coach and offensive coordinator that just, call plays like Tecmo Bowl. There's 4 of them, and he just run variations off it. It's fucking awesome.
But to that extent, I would say if it is a full PPR league for our buddy Fraggy here, I would go Monty as well, because he's been very involved in the receiving game. He had 6 catches this last week, 8 the week before. I mean, he's getting involved.
That's actually a really good call, Stephen. Yeah.
So I is it full? Okay, it is full PPR. Yep. Okay, perfect. So I lean that
Monty
way.
And Connor.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed with that at all.
Depending on Eckler's health, though, because
that Chiefs matchup is tough. I'm telling you, that's tough for him.
It is.
Granted, he got Justin Herbert, so it's. But I don't know.
I don't. I don't envy that situation.
No,
that's one of those that you just like. Well, because here's the other thing, because there's also a flex here. So he has Mark Andrews and Gronk. I think you play Mark Andrews. I think that's the play, regardless of who's playing quarterback.
They need
for
him
the
out
Ravens.
there, yeah.
Because Huntley is going to pepper him with targets. We saw that towards the end of the game. He got very, very involved. It's going to be the same thing if Lamar's not able to go. So it comes down to, okay, let's split it this way. Do you play Gronk over any of those running backs in the flex?
No, I don't.
I mean, I think it's Eckler in that regard. Almost that you would then plug him in there. I just get really worried, even though Fournette's been a matchup buster.
In the last 5 weeks, Fournette's gone 17, 13, 44, 22, and 23. And that's against the Redskins. I mean, the Washington football team. Wow. The Giants, the Colts, the Falcons, and the Bills. I mean, some of those are some stinkers. So it's not like he's lighting up some great defenses, but So yeah, I'm with you. I don't mind the Monty call. That's not bad, but Fournette's playing well. They're clicking. I like Connor and Fournette, but Connor Montgomery's not bad either.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to go with a bad combination there. I think the only thing is,
though. I mean, look at his wide receivers. I mean, Renfro 13 catches last week. I mean, Lockett had a huge week. What'd you score? 700 points last week, Fraggy?
How are you the last team to get in here? That's what I want to know, because Waddle has been a PPR monster. Renfro's been I guess recently. So maybe the beginning of the year, he got off to a slow start. You're the hot team. That's potential. All right. So I mean, from that regard, you got to play 3 running backs. I think with that flex. Another question here.
Yeah, non-PPR, Eckler, same thing. Mitchell. If Swift play, I like Swift if he plays. He was playing so well. I think he wants to get back out there. I would like to see him. I mean, I'm also trying to talk it into existence because I need him to play. But I actually have a buy in that league now that I think about it, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, you're good. This is like the lineup of running backs you don't want in a non-PPR. This is the list of running backs you want in a full PPR. That looks like
an infirmary list right now. Yeah, this is also everybody's banged up to some extent here, except for I think James Robinson. He just has a shitty coach.
Yeah, here's the thing about James Robinson. I'm legitimately benching him in all leagues. If I have a viable alternative, it's James Robinson to the bench, even with the matchup against Houston. You can't trust Urban Meyer.
You talked about that last week.
Yeah. You still can't. I mean, he was on the ball. He was on the field for the majority of the snaps at running back, but they still only gave him 6 carries. They didn't get him involved in the passing game. I mean, that's something that you cannot trust. And man, I tell you, that is one of the most bizarre situations.
They're screwed. And it's like, if you think about it, Lawrence is going to have probably like 4 head coaches. And are we going to think back like, was he ever any good? Like, I feel bad for him because he could do anything really. He's got the brains, the looks, like he's so marketing. He's an intelligent dude apparently, but I mean like, he's like, what the fuck am I doing in Jacksonville playing for Urban fucking Meyer? And this team is a goddamn joke. I haven't lost this much ever in my life, and it's got to suck out there, and their coaches all hate each other. It sounds just like it's straight up misery over there. I just feel bad for him. Travis Etienne's probably like, thank God I'm fucking injured. I don't have to deal with this bullshit. We'll have a new head coach next year for sure. I think Urban's out of here.
He's got to pull the medical issue out of a hat, and
he's got to pull his fingers out of places. That's what he's got to do. Fucking creep.
So
sorry. Yeah, this is a kid show. Sorry.
Oh, this is a kid show. We're screwed.
My bad. Back to regular scheduled programming. So who are you starting here?
So I agree with you on Swift if he's healthy, if he starts. I think it's still a really dumb move to play Swift. The Lions in general play Swift for the rest of the year. Heal him up. You're playing for nothing.
They're playing for pride.
Oh,
they're biting fucking kneecaps, dude. Come on. What are we doing? It's DMC. Come on. Motor City Dan Campbell. Wearing fucking Formula One helmets to press conferences. They're not taking games off. Fucking, he's playing. He's fucking scoring 2 touchdowns, taking me to the championship. Let's roll. Fuck. Is Elijah Mitchell back? What's going on? His finger okay? What's going on with him?
I think he'll be back. The same with Michael Carter this week, I believe, against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But the issue with both of these guys, you have Mitchell in the Shanahan offense. Are they going to ease him back in after these missed couple games here? Split time with Jeff Wilson, maybe Jermichael Hasty as well. Michael Carter, are they going to give Ty Johnson some added looks? Is the Andrew Walter experiment done with whatever the hell that was, with calling him up off the practice squad and having him run for 2 touchdowns? I don't know, but if they're healthy, I'd say DeAndre Swift and Austin Eckler. I think those are the two you at least know they're going to get the production when they're on the field. Their coaching staffs are smart enough to the point where you don't have to worry about them kind of phasing out their talent and their best players from the game plan, like some of the other coaches within this question.
It's a good call. I can't even argue there because you picked the 2 that I wanted to go with. I like Elijah Mitchell if healthy, but if those dudes are healthy, those are the guys you want. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? But speaking of injuries, there was a ton of, not just running backs, but like with Lamar getting hurt, and that sprained ankle. Something to worry about, they got all sorts of issues if he can't. I mean, Bateman had a good day without him, which was great to see. I dropped him in one of my leagues because I'm like, he's fuck, whatever. So that hurt me. But, I'm just trying to think back, there was Josh Allen's got, he's got turf toe. He was in a walking boot. Freaking Heineke hurt his knee, Kareem Hunt out with an ankle injury, McLaurin's in the protocol, right? Freaking, who's the other dude? Emmanuel Sanders. Not that he's really lighting it up fantasy wise, but he hurt his knee. Elijah Moore also is back on the IR, so it's tough, man. We're right back to where we were before. It's just injury after injury, and it's like, hey, this is tonight's the night. You're making your moves. If you have a bye, you still got to pay attention because you got to grab the guys that you may need for week 16, for your to get into that championship or however it works for you. If it's a 4-team league or whatever, 4-team playoff format, I don't know. How many formats or teams do you have in your formats in the playoffs you're in?
If there are 12 teams in the league, I like to look at 6. There are situations where there's only 4. It's a little bit more competitive, a little bit more hard-nosed. I've even heard of a few that have 8, which I don't agree with. I think that's
paper plate league. Like everybody gets a trophy. Like what do we do?
I mean, almost, and it sucks because you think about that.
Fucking
The 8th
pussification of
seed,
fantasy football. Jesus.
well, like the 8th seed in a 12-team league. You think about that. You're probably looking at a sub 500 record.
Yeah.
At this point in the season, maybe 6 and 8 probably would get you in a 12-teamer. You get hot at the right time. You're taking down the 1 seed in the first round of the playoffs and getting a really pissed off first seed team that's like, what the hell?
I'd be so angry. So fucking angry, especially if like the 6th seed had a shitty week, it's like, what the fuck? I would have fucking smoked this guy, but hey, oh Jesus, I love it.
Yeah. It's also why the NFL shouldn't just keep expanding playoffs. More games is fun, don't get me wrong, but same situation.
Money.
Don't let everybody in. Don't let everybody in.
No. All right, here we go. Bob's got a question here. Non-PPR. A tough one.
Bob,
like
get your leagues to PPR, at least a half PPR.
Yeah, no, not PPR stinks.
Knox, Freiermuth, or Fant. I'm still on the Freiermuth train. I will forever be on the Freiermuth train.
Yeah, I like Freiermuth, but I think Knox is going to have a big week. I kind of like him, especially if Mitch Trubisky's starting. He's a guy to think about because if he's not if Allen's out, Mitch is starting, and if you're trying to stream a quarterback, maybe pick him up and take a swing at it. But no, I'm just kidding. But no, Mitch may actually play this week is what I'm hearing. And even if he is playing, I think that's good for Knox because Mitch needs that security blanket to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, going up against the Panthers as well this weekend, those are corners that are probably going to do pretty well against Diggs, against Beasley, against Sanders if he plays. Yeah. So there is going to be that open area across the middle of the field for Knox to work his magic. And we've seen him go off. Last week we saw him go off with some solid performances. So you might have something there. Yeah, Knox might be the guy there just in terms of
if Freiermuth caught that ball, that pass at the end of the game, I mean, that would have been – it was an amazing play by the defensive back there. But, that would have capped a great night for him. I mean, that would have been something else. That was a great play. I mean, I felt bad for him, actually, because that sucked, watching that. I was like,
Another 2-touchdown evening almost for one Pat Freiermuth.
Yes, sir.
Lighting the rookie tight end world on fire with the number of touchdowns. Yeah, I believe he has more touchdowns than the rest of the rookie tight ends in the league combined. So he's got that connection rolling.
It's a great pickup. They nailed the draft, right, on the offense. Good for the Steelers. I mean, with Najee Harris and Freiermuth, that's a pretty good offensive haul right there. I mean, that's impressive.
That it is. It is. And
bring Tomlin over to Chicago, though. But anyway.
You got to start the wish list. Are they going to fire Nagy so they can start interviewing earlier?
Well, it depends on who you talk to or where you read. It's like they got no
one has a damn clue at this point. Let's be honest.
Nagy's having fun though. Come on, he's coaching. He's having fun. It's what it's all about. It's all about having fun and playing football. And you fucking hump. Get the fuck out of here.
I know this is completely off fantasy territory here, but
yeah,
that report coming out of halftime where you got they're having so much fun out there. This isn't fucking Pee Wee football. Yeah, it's not. Cool. And you just heard that and you're like, really? Like,
yeah, that's our coach, man.
This? No. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, we had some really great plays, but we know we need to improve here. Instead, we got our asses kicked in, didn't make any halftime adjustments.
It's cool. Our quarterback's out there playing with broken fucking ribs, and he's hurt and shit. He's out there having fun. Yeah, it's so much fucking fun, you fucking chump. Fuck. Get him out of here. But hey, if they could get rid of him before the 2 weeks or whatever so they could start that process and get a head start and get left, whoever they want to get in early, that'd be great. But, as I see here with Max and Bob saying, it's fucking probably going to stick around all year. Who knows? It's the Chicago Bears thing to do, but Hey, there is some fantasy relevance there. Speaking of the Bears, that we can get to that later and some waiver wire stuff. But I think there's some stuff to talk about at that point. I think the Bears actually have a quarterback worth picking up at this point.
They very well may. I had to share this.
I love it.
They're all eating orange slices and juice boxes. At
Maggie's mom fucking brought the orange slices in a fucking cooler. Fucking Gatorade gum for after the game.
Cupcake tray from the grocery store for the after game snack.
Sheet pizza.
I've lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
We got to see it. It's what Nagy does. We start thinking like him,
Yeah.
and we just end up fucking our brain is oozing out the side of our head. So
Justin Fields, that's where we are at. Justin Fields. For the upside that he has from a rushing perspective, the one thing that we've seen out of him the last couple of games where he's been healthy has been the fact he's getting a lot more comfortable, willing to take off with the ball. And not only that, but understand where to slide, where to get out of bounds, where to stop the play without taking those big hits and further potentially damaging himself, missing more games. And here we are, 9 rushes for 74 yards, had 224 passing yards through the air. Yeah, you can argue that 100 of those were on 2 plays, but at the same time,
they fucking happened.
Right. They exactly. They happened, and he's getting more opportunities to use his legs. You look down the game log with what he was at the beginning of the season. He had the one play against the Rams, but so we'll look at Cleveland game. So week 3 to the present. So Cleveland, Detroit, Vegas. He had a combined 9 carries. That's it. Wow. That is all he had. And then you get to the Green Bay game where things start to move a little bit better. 6 carries for 43 yards. Week after that, 8 carries for 38. Week after that, 10 for 103. Week after that, 8 for 45. And so now we're getting to some much higher levels of, his strengths as a player, not just as a quarterback, but just as a player, the athleticism to go out there and get that done. And we see the same thing with guys like Taysom Hill, with Jalen Hurts, where they can have a bad day throwing the ball, but they can still get you 15 to 20 points because they can run the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And that is the category that Justin Fields is now in, and especially with some of the games that he has coming up against Minnesota this week, like you mentioned, Seattle, they haven't been anything to write home about, and then the Giants to end the season. There's a possibility he could do some real damage here from a fantasy perspective. Not maybe an NFL perspective, but from a fantasy perspective,
100%.
Some pretty decent lines.
That's a fucking fantastic call, Mr. Johnson, especially with the fucking Vikings. Their defense against fantasy quarterbacks, 3 out of the last 4 quarterbacks have, I think, over 25 fantasy points. That's a pretty big number for you going into the playoffs. If the Fields could do that, especially with the option with those legs, he's rushed for almost 400 yards this year. And we talked about that all year long about quarterbacks that rush for over 300 yards and where they finish in the fantasy relevance. And if you could get him throughout a whole season, if he started from week 1, he'd probably rush. I don't know where he would be. Those numbers may have already, the trend might have started a lot earlier. And we could be looking at 600-700 rushing yards. There's no reason why he couldn't eclipse 1,000 yards rushing on a season with what we're seeing right now. And just that level of comfortability that you're speaking of. He's got a great fantasy relevance now. Streaming options for quarterback, especially if like with Lamar hurt and you don't know what to do. Here's a chance to actually make a play and be comfortable going into week 15 in a playoff matchup with Justin Fields as your starting quarterback. To start a rookie at that point too, that's pretty sweet. And that's our quarterback, not for nothing. But that's also a pretty nice fantasy option,
Well, and on top of that, just looking at the final stat lines, we'll take out the Ravens game because obviously he didn't finish that with the rib injury, but the last 3 games that he finished, he's put up top 10 performances, at least number 10 on a weekly basis at the quarterback position.
Great call.
Super flex, even single quarterback, he's putting up numbers that put you in the top 12 options for that week. And that goes a long way for what he has coming up and for what he's been able to do. You see the confidence rising, the opportunity is there. And again, if you're struggling with your quarterback position, and there's been some quarterbacks that a lot of people have been able to rely on for a lot of the season who have been struggling as of late. Dak Prescott is one that a lot of people have kind of had fly under the radar. He has not been good from a fantasy perspective.
Slumping big time. You're right.
Absolutely. And not only that, I mean, obviously you're never going to bench him. You're never going to bench this other guy I'm about to mention, Patrick Mahomes. He's not putting up these multiple touchdown weeks like you'd be accustomed to seeing out of him. As
he's still like top 10 in all performance, all quarterback categories, but you're absolutely right. Nowhere near what we're used to seeing. It's pretty surprising, some of those guys that you're just speaking of like disappointments, right? And I see right here with Matt, I threw this up here with him throwing a claim in for Fields, but like Sutton, he's a dude in the I think in the last 6 games, he's had 20 total PPR points, in a PPR league, he's had 20 points in 6 freaking games. And then Patrick is another one where he's had 13 points in his last 4 games. So it's like, just to speak on what Bob's doing there, that's a great drop because those dudes have actually been stinking it up recently. So it's nerve wracking. I played a guy to get into the 1 seed last night. He had Mahomes going and, it's like, I didn't even get nervous. It was weird. Last year, you're like, shit, I'm going against Mahomes. That's a 35-point week or whatever. It's because to your point, there was always those multiple touchdown games, 3 or 4 touchdown, tutters a week. And it's like, hey man, he's coming back down to earth, or maybe he's hurt, slumping, who knows? But for fantasy relevance, it's not a guarantee, and that's good for me because I don't have many of my fucking team. So come on, let's bring it. Watch him. Well, he'll probably knock me out in the playoffs now that I open my big fucking mouth. It'll be a nice freezing cold cake.
You jinxed it.
Fuck it. You make your own goddamn luck.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah, maybe I just made bad ones for me, but hey, whatever. I digress.
Reverse psychology.
There it is. I like it.
Cortland Sutton floating around a 10% target share while Jerry Jeudy's healthy. So not necessarily what you expect out of a guy that required the draft capital that a lot of people spent on him earlier this season, but that's just the nature of the game. And Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy looking like a lot better options for what Teddy Bridgewater can bring to that Broncos offense. So, I mean, if you need the quarterback there, I cannot blame you, Max. That is an opportunity there to try and cash in on the upside of Fields. But yeah, other guys here. I think I saw in the comments here, Logan Hurts, Brady, Lamar hasn't been that good either. He's been slumping like none other. And another guy, I think there's going to be the argument made that you could take this guy as the first quarterback off the board next season, and that's Justin Herbert. A lot of people are not understanding the streak that he is on. That in the last, let's see if I can count here quickly, 9 games. Last 9 games.
Okay.
7 of those weeks, he has posted at least QB6. At least. He's put up 2 number 1 weeks, a 2, a 3, 2 6s, and his worst performances, 2 where he finished QB 15. That's the worst that he's done. So, I mean, he is setting that coast on fire with what he's able to do in that Chargers offense. He has a ton of weapons. Honestly, there's going to be it's either going to be the potential of everybody's going to jump on the Herbert bandwagon if he gets the respect that he deserves, or he's going to be one of the best values at the quarterback position again in 2022. But definitely a guy you got to keep your eye on as a potential vaulter up the boards, because I don't think there's any signs of him slowing down next year heading into year 3.
I'm interested to see how he finishes the year out with the Chiefs, the Texans, the Broncos, and the Raiders. He could end up putting up just an amazing. He almost has 4,000 yards already, like you were saying. I mean, at 30 tuds. I mean, dude's a beast, man. I'm pretty. I think you're hitting the nail on the head on that one. He may be the QB1 going into next. Him and Jonathan Taylor, QB1, RB1, and Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 1. That's my call.
Changing to the God.
Or Devontae Adams, once again when he becomes a Bear. But anyway, no.
Hey, the wish list grows. I think I've got like 30 people on the list. It's just an easy turnover.
Just kick the can down the road on the salary cap. Let's just get us over to Arlington Heights and let's keep it moving. But hey,
yeah, absolutely. So we've got week 15 right around the corner. Like I said, it's a fun week. We got Thursday, we got 2 Saturday games. We got Sunday, a nice little slate. No buys. The buys are finally
over.
Thank the Lord. And then the Bears on Monday. So it just
more money. Logan's out there listening, man. Just hey, we cleaned up on the Packers at -12.5. So let's see what we can do this week and what the Vikings can help us out with. Who knows?
Yeah.
But,
Cooper Kupp also wide receiver 1. Max making the good point.
Oh fuck yeah, duh. Jeez, yeah. That's actually pretty embarrassing that I said that because
I was there with you and I'm like, the skinny little white guy playing slot out in LA.
Dude, he was amazing last night. That catch he caught on that ball that Stafford threw him in the corner, right by the pylon. I was like, dude, that dude's a fucking beast. Does Wes Welker coach their wide receivers? I could have sworn I saw him with a clipboard and a headset last night. I thought it was McVay at first, and I'm like, that looks like Wes Welker. And then I was like, I wonder if he coaches.
Eric Yarber is the wide receivers coach for the.
He doesn't look like Wes Welker, does he? Are you looking at him?
No. Okay. He's about the farthest thing you can get from Wes Welker.
Great.
He played 2 seasons in the NFL as a wide receiver in 86 and 87. Okay. So he's been down the coaching path for quite some time. He's been a wide receivers coach at a lot of different places, like a lot. But he's been with the Rams since 2017. So he's been there for the whole McVay era. So still.
You know what? He's the 49ers wide receiver coach. Maybe I saw him on the sideline of the Niners game.
I did not know that. I had no idea. I just figured, he made his money. He retired. He's enjoying life.
Got to have CTE. That dude has gotten so many concussions. Like, I'm surprised he can remember a playbook at this point. Like, that dude.
Right.
Up in New England, man, that guy used to get his. I mean, you guys saw it. But up in New England, up here, it was like always talked about how tough he was because he was always getting freaking, But that dude got his bell rung a few times. But he reminds me of. There's a lot of I see that Cooper Kupp, Wes Welker comparison, but because there's some seasons that Welker was pretty pretty amazing with, TB12.
Yeah, TB12. He started off, with the Dolphins, I believe, and then the Dolphins made the mistake of trading him to New England, and
7th round pick or something. Who knows? Welker freaking trade rate.
And for him to go from Tom Brady to Peyton Manning in Denver. A lot of people forget the Denver years with Wes Welker. And so, that opportunity to play with 2 of the greatest of all time and just put up these ungodly, gaudy stat numbers because all he does is catch these short-ass passes and put up just wild stat lines. And you're like, that's the dude that's doing this? No. And it's going to be the same thing said about Cooper Kupp a decade from now. People are going to be like, that's the guy that's doing this? Yeah, that's the guy that's doing this. It's like the old days of Ed McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's dad. Remember that back in the Denver Broncos days of the early or late 90s. I'm aging myself here.
Yes, you are. Damn, Wes Welker caught 122 passes twice, 123 and 122, both in New England. Wow, almost 1,600 yards in 1,400. That's amazing.
Monster.
Holy
PPR
shit.
Monster.
162 to 175 targets twice. Oh my God. That's amazing. Sorry.
Who needs an outside?
I just had to look that up. This is a fantasy show, but speaking, so playoffs, right? There's, what is it? It's 10:30 where I am, right? Any guys that you're looking at on the waiver wire that you're trying to scoop up? Is there anybody, that you're looking to, if you have any money left or, anybody you're trying to scoop?
If you have money left, more power to you. That you do. Kind of circling back to the conversation that we had a little bit earlier, just talking about, not getting bent out of shape if you end up missing on your waiver wire pickups tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever, because the list is going to be deep, and it's going to be deep for a while. The main guy I think that's going to get the opportunity, I think you could argue that he's the number one overall selection on the waiver wire this week. He's burned teams for years as he's the running back equivalent of the Chicago Cubs. There's always next year, and that's Rashad Penny up in Seattle. He finally got his opportunity, took off with it, 137 yards. Yeah, it was the Texans. Yeah, they're not great, but if Pete Carroll just commits to a single player, don't activate Adrian Peterson.
No.
Get Alex Collins out there because he sucks. Alex Collins is not a good running back.
They're giving it to Penny.
Yeah, I mean, you give it to Penny, you're giving yourself the best opportunity to establish the run, and the opportunity is there. And coming up here, if they allow him to continue to do that, they got the Lions in Week 17. So there's that opportunity to really kind of kick things into another gear. For a championship stretch, if you need it. And as we all know, the running back position, you need every just body with a pulse, really, to get you through things. Yeah, the matchup with the Rams isn't the most ideal, but at the same time, we also saw what James Conner just did to the Rams, and it is doable to put up very healthy stat lines.
Yeah. That's it, and it's crazy to think that a guy that he's been cast off, he's been written off. He's a dude that just no one's, he had high hopes, when they drafted him, and to see him do well, granted, like you said, they're playing the Rams, but yeah, James Conner showed, it can be done. There's a couple of running backs that are out there. Boston Scott is probably still out there. Malcolm Brown in Miami, with everything going on with respects to COVID, he's a guy to consider. They're playing the Jets this week, so it's just, you don't know. Their backfield's a mess. But Gaskins, Lindsey and Ahmed are all right now on the COVID list. So we don't know what that's going to look like. So Malcolm Brown is definitely someone to think about. And then in Detroit, with all their issues, is Craig Reynolds. Waiting to see if DeAndre Swift is going to play and if Jamal Williams can play. If not, it's going to be Reynolds is the next man up. He had 11 carries for 83 yards against Denver. So, something to think about. And with Hunt out, Dearness Johnson, those are some guys that,
He will not die.
No. He's like, that old battery that just keeps on going, it always starts that car, it's the old reliable, right? No, I'm just kidding. But he's going to be backing up. If he could get 5 to 10 touches, and they may rely on the run, playing who they're playing there. So it's like,
right.
It's you're playing the Raiders. You're going to be they may need to run the ball a little bit if Jarvis Landry is out and they're missing more with they're missing Hooper and Jaku. So yeah. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of thinking tonight. You'll probably be sitting looking at your phone, probably not know what to do. Your legs are probably going to fall asleep from sitting on the toilet, and you're going to be like, fuck, I don't even know who to fucking pick up. But like you said, man, you have a great point.
Is that your normal Tuesday evening?
No, I'm out in my garage trying to figure it out. But
I'm kidding.
No, but that's more like, my Tuesday or my Wednesday morning, when I'm like, who did I get? I was like, oh my God, Yeah,
this did not go according to plan.
Yeah, son of a bitch. Are there any wide receivers that you like right now?
It's a relatively deep list of guys that can give you wide receiver 2 upside, which is really bizarre.
Especially at this point in the season.
Yeah. It's not making a whole lot of sense. I'm going to give you 2 guys that are a little bit further down the list. I don't think anybody should have any issue with grabbing either of them. The first one being Laquan Treadwell. Treadwell with the Jacksonville Jaguars, a former first-round talent with the Minnesota Vikings. As we all know, the Minnesota Vikings had a real damn hard time finding a wide receiver there.
They drafted him like 19, right? Didn't they draft him in the first round?
Yeah, he was up there.
He was out of Ole Miss, right?
Yes, yeah, had a catastrophic knee injury that ended his college career.
But got tackled from behind.
Yep, was a beast though. Was an absolute beast. And with Laquan Treadwell, he's the only guy in that Jacksonville offense who's getting anything worth a damn in terms of productivity. Last week, 4 catches, 68 yards against the Titans. He's got Houston and the Jets coming up in the coming weeks here. So this is a grand opportunity for him to really get things rolling. Don't think Marvin Jones is necessarily the plug option there, really, since Jamal Agnew went down, who gave teams a couple pretty solid weeks. It's been Laquan Treadwell show, which is really weird to say because he's bounced around with a couple different teams. And, of course, he finally finds his way back with the clown show that is the Urban Meyer Jacksonville Jaguars. Between him and another guy, again, you shouldn't have a whole lot of difficulty going after and picking him up. That would be Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Lions. He's been on that same stretch here where he's really kind of settled into this role, being a third-day guy in the draft this past year. Catches 8 passes for 83 yards. And again, it's just one thing after another. He's at 24 targets over the last 2 weeks. So he had
18 catches.
Week. I mean, he's wild what he's been able to do. So those are my 2 guys, I think, that are some pretty solid plays at wide receiver.
Yeah, especially with Hockenson not being in, you're not sure what you're going to get there. That's actually a pretty good call. I didn't realize that he had 18 catches, almost 160 yards and a touchdown against Minnesota and Denver. That's and he's rostered in 30% of the league. So, that's actually a really, not that I always say you have a really good call, but that is a really good call, Mr. Johnson.
And Atlanta and Seattle in 16 and 17. So again, the opportunity is there for the rookie to continue his little run here. How about you? Who you got?
So I'm gonna kind of flip it. I'm gonna say an oldie but a goodie here, and AJ Green. Okay, rostered in 54. He hurt me this week because he should have got some of the balls that Hopkins needed because I needed Hopkins at 62.5 yards. I needed to get 63 and it didn't happen. But, with that being said, it was nice to see AJ Green kind of come to grips and have a solid game for once. But 10 targets, 7 catches, 102 yards. He started the year with at least 13 PPR points in the 4 of his first 6 games. And that's like that whole Kyler Murray piece. He was just slinging it all over the place, and they were putting up like ungodly fantasy numbers. But they're playing Detroit. I think it's not a bad play if you're dealing with one of the injuries to the wide receivers, like you're relying on Elijah Moore or somebody else, and you can go ahead and plug a guy like AJ Green in, where you could sit back, probably wake up tomorrow morning, have a coffee, go smoke a joint, whatever you need to do, come back, look at your phone, and pick up AJ Green. So he's somebody that I think you could definitely turn around and scoop up. You took one of my dudes that I like, so I can't bring him up. But KJ Osborne is somebody you brought up last week, right? And what did he do? He freaking produced, right? He had 83 yards on 3 catches and a touchdown, but he had 9 freaking targets. So I look at Thielen possibly being out again. I'm worried, with Minnesota, that's a team that, they're fighting to get into the playoffs. They're like right on that cusp, right? Aren't they still mathematically there?
Oh yeah, with the win over Pittsburgh, they do have that opportunity there.
So they need to win, and so with that being said, like that's when you expect your stars to play hurt, because you got to get guys out there to play. Cook did that last week, came out, ran for over 200 fucking yards, and had an amazing day. I think you're going to see you may see Thielen play, but if he doesn't, look for KJ Osborne to go off again and have almost a double-digit target day. They're playing Chicago Monday night, and we can't stop a nosebleed. So, pretty much have at it, KJ. You're probably going to end up with fucking 100 yards just by stepping on the field. So those are 2 guys on, the wide receiver tip that, I kind of like, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, looking at where the Vikings are at right now, they are the last team on the I guess the first team in line for stepping into a playoff spot. So they are number 8 right now in the NFC, tied record wise with Washington, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and New Orleans, all of whom are 6-7. The Niners are 7-6. So they're only a game ahead of the Vikings. So the Vikings still very much in it. And, with those explosive offensive players, anything is possible. The Bears, we all know, have their hands full between Jefferson, between Cook. And I mean, who knows? Maybe Alexander Madison will spread the COVID love and they'll see none of the field on Monday night.
Say that.
So,
don't say that.
I know. We don't want to see it, but it is a possibility. With
that's the reality of the situation. You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
God damn it. Damn you, Mr. Johnson.
Can't discount it.
What do you think of a guy like Alan Lazard? Fuck him for wearing that stupid fucking t-shirt. But
I've never seen a team so obsessed with such a dumb quote, such a dumb thing. It's like they live rent free. Like, or the Bears live rent free in their heads. Like, you're worried about a 4-9 team, and you're gonna wear dumb shit like this at a press conference.
I got my feelings hurt. You gave me the middle finger.
It's so dumb.
I can't wait till he goes to Pittsburgh next year, and fucking Packers fans have Jordan fucking Love or some other fucking bum as their quarterback, and we're just gonna, what's it like to have subpar quarterback play, and have a good head coach. I mean, I think LaFleur is actually a pretty solid coach. He's probably one of the top 3 or 4 coaches in the NFL right now with what he's been doing with, I mean, granted, he's got fucking Rodgers, but, right. With all that, though, I just fuck the Packers, fuck Aaron Rodgers. And, but if Devontae Adams wants to come to the Bears next year, by all means, man, fucking, come on over.
Let's go. Let's go.
Any tight ends you like, though? Anybody like on I know we didn't do any glitches or cheat codes or anything like that, but but like in the tight ends, but any defenses that you like? It's playoff time, so I know there's some defensive matchups that kind of look that look okay. When I was doing a little bit of research, I think the Eagles play Washington, and the Washington's dealing with everything that they're dealing with. Gibson fumbled the ball, got benched. He's, we talked about him last week being a guy maybe to look for, but he kind of squandered last week. I was really surprised. And then Rivera was like, guess what, buddy? Take your helmet off. You're going to watch this one from the sidelines. But the Chiefs are rostered in like 50% of late leagues. And they're playing, granted they're playing the Chargers. Like, I hear you. And Justin Herbert is the second coming to Jesus. But like, still not a bad pickup, because it's not like we talked about matchups last week. The Chiefs don't have, you get by the Chargers, and you may have a pretty solid matchup for your second or third round in the playoffs, championship round. So, something to think about. Those are a couple of defenses I like. But any tight ends or any defenses you've kind of eyeing?
I hate going back to the well here.
Where are we going?
I feel like I've gone down this rabbit hole a few times, and again, there's only so much you can do from like a free agent waiver wire pickup standard at tight end. James O'Shaughnessy's still getting targets in Jacksonville. He got 6 targets again. Yeah. Like he continues to pick up all these targets, and here we are. He hasn't done much with them. Let's get one thing straight there, is that if you want the opportunity, it's going to be there for James O'Shaughnessy. If you want somebody that might be able to do a little bit better with what's put on his plate, I'd say Gerald Everett with the Seahawks. He's put up a couple top 10 performances over the last couple weeks. There have been a couple duds in there
He's
as
had
well.
10 PPR points 3 out of the last 5. So that's not a bad call.
It's those are my 2 guys. You could argue there's also room in there for a Bears opponent in Tyler Conklin. The Bears are the Bears. We know what they are, and it ain't great. especially from a middle of the field, deep perspective across the middle, and just the miscommunication and some of the bad corner play that we've seen. So Tyler Conklin potentially a sleeper candidate there, but I guess out of those three, Gerald Everett would probably be the play.
Yeah, Brevin Jordan also to think about in Houston. You know, he had 4 catches, 26 yards, and a touchdown. Maybe Mr. Mills' little security blanket. You know, so when he played,
had a hell of a game.
Yeah, he went in week 8 against the Rams. He was Mills.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy. I mean, he's another quarterback that they talked about streaming when I was doing some research. You know, they were talking about Davis Mills being a guy. I was like, wait, did I read that correctly? I was like, really? But then I went back and looked at his numbers, and I was like, you know,
it's like
kind of crazy.
Okay, all right, yeah, like let's go. I mean, in all honesty, let's see what he's got here.
331 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions against Seattle, playing against frickin' Jacksonville, 19 points in his last 2 starts at least, you know. So it's like it may not be a bad play. You know, they allowed 27 fantasy points to Tyrod Taylor when they played them last time. So Davis Mills, hey, not bad. Rostered in 6% of the leagues.
Dynasty stash. He's got dynasty stash written all over him.
Yeah,
especially if you're in super flex leagues. I mean, 2 top 10 quarterback performances this year against New England and LA, the Rams. Like, how?
That's an anomaly. How? That's fucking wild. That's really wild.
I mean, honestly, it's to a point where it's like, okay, does he deserve an opportunity to be the guy for the Texans? Like, I almost want to say yes.
It sounds like they're going to give him this opportunity. They're going to ride out the rest of the year to see what they have. I mean, if he's going to play like this, there's no reason why they can't maybe look to, maybe draft a quarterback later on or something. But I mean, they're saying I saw the list came out today, and there's 5 projected quarterbacks to go in the first round.
I don't know what to make of this draft. We'll have dynasty talk, and we'll get through all that
later. Yeah,
it's a bizarre draft this year. You mentioned the Chiefs defense. This is a week with a lot of various defenses that are kind of weak or playing weak, or like the weaker are playing the weakest, I guess. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys for sure, because it doesn't look like Danny Dimes is going to be a
neck playing again. Long neck, Glennon.
I think long neck's back on the field. So you look at that option there with the Cowboys getting the Giants and the other one, the Dolphins getting the Jets. I think those are the 2 where you can get some value in 2 groups that aren't heavily rostered. So those are my picks.
Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean,
Giraffe Glennon.
Giraffe. That's fucking great. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I also looked at. I mean, we've pretty much hit you hit the nail on the head there. Playoff time. It's getting late. You're gonna have to make your move soon. You probably have. I always end up making my moves at like 12:30. I'm like, shit, it's after midnight, and I try to get them all in, and but because they don't process till like 3:30 in the morning, so you're good. But I wish everybody luck this week. If you are playing in the playoffs, or if you're playing in the toilet bowl to avoid a tattoo on your nutsack or your labia, then by all means, I really wish everybody luck. It's fantasy. Let's make some money. Let's hopefully, send us your comments, put them in the chat, when you're watching or in YouTube. Let us know how you're doing. We'd love to fucking talk about it. It's playoff time in the TTNL Fantasy League. I know you made the fantasy playoffs in your conference.
Thank you, Claudio. Claudio coming through in the clutch.
I love it. Yeah, we had it. Ryan Cox made it. Myself, Chris Boucher made it, and then the Grand Nationals, who I don't have his team name in front of me, but there were 4 guys that made it in our division, and that we're going to battle it out in the 4-team playoff. It's pretty sweet. You know, it was a good thing. Looking forward to next year, you know, and what we do to really try to, you know, we'll get into that. But yeah, it's going to be kind of sweet to see how it plays out in our fantasy league. You know, first in the annual, you know, Logan didn't make the playoffs, by the way. Sorry, Logan. You know, you had every running back known to man on your team, but you know, to that point, didn't all work out for you. But you know, hopefully you make a little noise in the playoffs, sneaking in the 4th spot.
Yeah, it's I get Chris Sandlin this week. I get the Sandman. He got the number 1 overall. He has kicked everybody's ass in terms of points scored.
Yeah.
He's at 2,265. The next closest team, not a single other team eclipsed 2,000. So that shows you the dominance that he's had this year. And I get the joy of taking him on this week. He's also faced the most points scored, and he's got a 10-4 record. So he's done some damn well playing this year. And looking at his team, I don't know how he put this team together.
What did he have for points?
2,265.
Oh wow, he had Ryan Cox beat. Cox at 2,099.1.
Man,
wow.
Yeah, he took just about everybody down in terms of that. But hey, it's a clean slate now, and none of that matters. So I just gotta hope that all.
I play Ryan first round. I'm projected to win. I'm taking him. I'm taking him out. I hate to say it, but sorry, Mr. Cox, you're going down.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe we'll see a matchup here. Well, I don't know. Did we figure that out? Are we doing like a championship game between
we're
the two
gonna
conferences?
we're gonna try to figure that out. We were saying we're gonna do like a championship belt trophy, some sort of. We're gonna figure out that whoever wins the championship between the two leaders, you know, whoever wins the chip, we'll figure. Mr. Johnson and I are gonna figure it out and get a little prize for the winner. Unless I win, then you know, or you win, and you know, we can't gift ourselves.
Wave it off. Yeah. Don't need it. Wave it off.
We'll run it back for next year. Just make it twice as good.
But also quick shout out here to I'm not sure who these names are. Bear Down 883 and love the pun here. Just Win Fields. Also the username Happy Ilmore also making the playoffs on the other side of the bracket with our division as well. So yeah, good luck to all except you, Chris. You were at least for this week.
It's not very nice.
But, hey, I gotta show some type of trash talk. It's not in my blood, but hey.
I love it.
Just exactly, Logan. Just don't talk trade in the group chat. Exactly. No trade talk. End of story. But it's been a fun first inaugural season. A lot of people did have a lot of fun with it. That we will have it back next year. Absolutely. See if we can expand it a little bit as well, make it a little bit more fun to hit the ground running and get people signed up. Maybe see if we can get everybody that wants to be involved actually involved in it next year as well. So
100%.
Do be on the lookout for that in the months to come.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Johnson, while I still have you,
yes,
I want to bring this up. This is our gentleman, a family member of our lovely TTNL fam, you know, part of the 100 crew, the original. Our lovely gentleman, Kamran Baig, you know, our gentleman down in Canton, Texas, dealing with complications of COVID, you know, and as people crack jokes in the chat and all sorts of stats. Well, this is somebody that is a very healthy young man that is dealing with a serious impact, who is currently fighting for his life. And so, Stephen, if you don't mind, I think we should put the link to the GoFundMe in the YouTube description. Yep. I do know that we'll be talking about this tomorrow night on TTNL. I'm keeping it 100 with Phil and Shane. They actually are going to get probably more into it than I will, and you and I will. But I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. There are people watching live, and if you do know anybody, dealing with this, you don't know how it's going to impact them. It impacts everybody different, and this is a true testament to this. This dude's a warrior. His biceps are probably bigger than my fucking legs, for crying out loud. He's a monster of a human, and to my understanding, he was a healthy man, and now is literally intubated, breathing through a tube, and fighting for his fucking life. But we do have a GoFundMe, and in 24 hours, we've raised a significant amount of money for him and his wife, Raven, who are definitely impacted with Logan not working while he's hospitalized. So I really hope that, anybody out here that does see this does not mind sharing it. We're not pandering here. We're looking to actually help someone. This isn't a handout. This is a fucking hand up. And this is really trying to help Logan and his wife, Raven. So I really appreciate, Stephen, you give me an opportunity to bring this to the table tonight because it's truly it's a crippling situation for him, like it is for many people around the country and the world. And we're not getting into the politics of it because that's not what we're here to talk about. This is just trying to help our friend in need. And if you can, that's great. If you can't, but you can share it, even better. And so we really appreciate it. And, I just want to say thank you again for giving me a chance to speak about this.
Hey, no, absolutely. Especially the TTNL family coming together and, helping one of their own. And again, this is something that no one wants to see anyone go through, whether they know them or not. It is a scary situation, not just for that individual, but for their family and for their friends. And so, you couldn't have said it any better. If there is, the opportunity where you are able to donate towards the fund to help him and his family, highly recommend doing so. And we will have the link to this in the description of the YouTube video once we wrap things up here as well. So again, eye out for that, as well as tomorrow night on Keeping It 100 with Phil and Shane. They'll be back here at their normal time, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, with Bears and Vikings talk on the docket as we inch ever closer to the end of the Matt Nagy era and whatever the hell else comes up with the Chicago Bears season. But they'll be here to talk all about it, and the entertainment will forever go on, as we all know, and have come to love from what they've been able to do. So again, check out the link. Check out Phil and Shane tomorrow. And again, positive thoughts and hopefully positive results and news from here on out, just across the board.
Thank you, Stephen. It's always a pleasure to get together with you on Tuesday nights and chop it up about fantasy. I know we kind of got it into a different mood here at the end, but I do appreciate the opportunity to get into Week 15 playoffs. Here we are. I wish everybody luck. Mr. Jackle, that's Mr. Johnson. We're wrapping up here. One Up Fantasy. We will see you next week as we talk maybe some championships or some semifinals. Where are we at? So wish you guys all luck.
All right. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.